Hello fellow humans and welcome to this week's shop review, and not that much changed since last week. However, let's look at it anyway. Now, first of all, with the weekly deals, we got something like this, which can be extremely useful if you're trying to grind the next vehicle or something like that. So like a medium researcher's kit can definitely be somewhat helpful. What is not helpful though is containers. You always lose if you buy containers, and if you don't lose with containers, someone else has to lose for you. So collectively, containers are very, very bad for the entire community, and I would definitely recommend highly against ever purchasing any form of container. Then we go to the individual offers, and they're obviously different for everyone. If there are crates in there, don't buy them. That's clear. Also, the MX-30B is a bit of a joke of a vehicle, and especially for 48 euros, that is pretty damn bad, because this is basically you smash the worst of the Leopard 1 and the STB into one tank, and now you have a tank that is bad at both what the Leopard and the STB are bad at. So that's not great. Definitely don't recommend that vehicle. And the Object 907, I will talk about that a bit more later. But stay tuned. Don't buy it yet, because that's not going to be the thing. Now, the great choice. The problem with this thing is it's a mystery certificate again, which means this is just a, well, bootleg crate right here that, you know, if you get a tier 10, you're great. If you don't, you just lose all your money because you paid 20 euros for 2k gold. So definitely don't recommend it. It is a gamble as well. Don't do it. Now the T5A for some reason brings out the absolute worst in people, and every single, or almost every single T5A player I see in battle is an absolute bumbling idiot, which is a bit of a shame. The tank itself is okay-ish, but then again, it's very similar to the T54. Therefore, buying it doesn't make any sense because you're spending money to receive something that's the exact same as the regular T54. This one makes creds. I absolutely do not recommend this tank at all. It brings out the worst in people. Stay away from it. Now, these subscriptions, if you do log in daily, and if you put it in your calendar or whatever that you do log in every day, it does make sense. It is a pretty good offer. If you can go through all the 2 weeks of logging in, then you have a very good deal here. Now, these things are sold for extremely cheap, which about tells you how Wargaming values them. The ×5s are useless as they are locked to the premium tanks. And then we have a tier 8 and a tier 7 here. The tier 7's alright, it's not really special. There's no point in buying it. It's worse than a T29. And the tier 8, it's like, it seems solid at first, but then again, the turret here on the sides is extremely weak, which means it's pretty easy to penetrate, and it's not really a vehicle that you want to have. It's not particularly fun. If you're collecting it, then yes, it is a good price for two vehicles of this type. It is a good price for this bundle, there's no doubt about that. But is it a good value? Well, I don't know about that, because this thing is a bit not that good. And the sides especially are extremely weak. It's a bit like the MX M454, where if it's exactly frontal, it's useful and nice. But the second you turn it a millimeter, it becomes completely useless in terms of an armor standpoint. And the gun is very similar to that of the T34. So at that point, if you own the T34, keep playing that. It's better for the hull down capabilities, because you can't pen it as easily as with this one. The defenders are still here. I've reviewed those last week, so check out last week's shop review if you want to know more about those. Let's get into the tanks, and the Object comes later, and the 55A, I've already talked about that. Don't buy this thing. The Krupp's a bit of a meme. ×5s are right here that, you know, are good, but for 2k, the Krupp's a waste of money. So that's not it. The TOG gets 2 weeks of premium right here, which is very nice, and these ×5s are also unlocked. And the TOG is very much of a meme, and I can recommend this vehicle. It's not going to be particularly fun most of the time, but it's just a complete and utter meme. And this bundle's pretty solid. It's better than the Krupp bundle, certainly, because it also includes the 2 weeks of premium. So I can kind of recommend the TOG bundle if you know that the tank itself is a meme. Then the T20 concept is a piece of shit. Don't buy it. And the T22 medium is very solid of a vehicle. However, it is sold for more than it was sold previously. And when it comes to the T22 and the Object 907, I would recommend the T22 over the 907. So then we got these again. I mean, 5k for this thing is a solid price. It's not as good as the 5.5k bundles that you get for a T34 or a Jagdtiger, or used to get. However, it is a solid-ish offer. And this is what these kind of premium tanks should be priced and bundled at. So that is a very good bundle here. However, the vehicle, I personally won't recommend it, because it's just a weird thing that is, what's the point? Then, like last week, Defender Mark 1, absolutely worth it, can recommend. However, again, in terms of the price to performance here between the Defender and the M6. You can make an argument that in this case the M6 is the better price to performance. However, overall, the Defender is the better choice right here, and if you can afford it, I would definitely recommend the Defender. Then, going on with the Indestructible Defense, so these two vehicles, they're overpriced. 17.5k is not what these two vehicles are worth. If it be 12.5k, 13k, we can talk about it. But for this price, I highly recommend against it, especially because this bundle includes locked ×5s as well. If they were unlocked, we can talk about it, but they're locked, so don't recommend that at all. And obviously, as every week, camos are, in my opinion, a waste of money. They're too expensive for what they're worth, so don't buy them. Now, again, the crate section is the worst section of this shop. It shouldn't exist, and you should not ever go down here and ever buy any of these crates. They are always a bad deal for you. Now, this is about the 7th game in this vehicle, and I'm kind of done with Blitz for today, because I've had absolutely horrible teams that can be, well, incompetent would be too much of a praise for them, and I've also had a bit of a weird thing where the game reset my audio and aim. So if your game has also done that, please check it. It might have done that. I have changed nothing about the game, but somehow my audio and aiming sensitivity was reset. So now let's see what's going to happen in this game. I don't care what happens, it's going to go into the video. And it's already good that the heavies are coming over to this side, which is a very big problem in Blitz these days, that the meta has changed from two teams that both have players that make mistakes, which is perfectly fine and doable, to one team going to the completely wrong side, making the absolute mistake, and then the other team on the other side completely farming them, which is what happened to me 3 times. So, yeah, which is... yeah, I can tell when a team's bad in the first 10 seconds, which is a bit sad. But it's just too damn predictable. Now, this is a very, very bad for the 907 here, because you do not want to peek with anyone. Playing peekable in this vehicle is about the worst thing you can do, because you have only 310 alpha damage, and you don't have any armor. So, yeah, that's a very, very bad thing to do, so I'm going to have to get out of here. Yep, and hope that the T95 is not going to aim or focus on me, but I'm going to have to wait to be unspotted here to get through. And the 4005 has thrown. And the Leopard is for somehow trying to brawl with an E4. We love that. Okay, I'm gonna have to try to get rid of the ST1 and the E4 before the IS-7 arrives, but that is unlikely, so the Yak is now also gonna get himself wrecked. Because, yeah, that's just... hello. And there we go. And here comes the IS-7. He's gonna shoot at, not me, which is good. So thank you for not shooting at me. And now I can just... try and go for the tracks here. Hope that he is not going to refocus on me. He's not going to, because the Leopard's a one-shot, so I'm going to try to keep this IS-7 here with me. The big problem would be if the E4 would try to come around the corner, but the Leopard has completely screwed it. He's thrown. All he had to do is not peek and let him... like, all that Leopard had to do is not peek and let me continuously track the IS-7, because that is something the 907 is very good at. You can continuously track tanks very easily, very well. He's not going to turn very quickly, so lovely. So that is all he had to do there. The Leopard, all he had to do is wait for me to finish off the I-7. But he didn't, so that's a bit unfortunate. I don't want to get out of here. Okay, the E4 went over there, that's good. And I don't have a team. This is exactly what happened in the last 5 matches as well. I just simply do not have a functional team for the last couple of matches, and it's pretty bad today, but whatever. I'll just make it accurate. I'm not going to try again for another 10 games to try to get a team that is somewhat playable. But yeah, now my point here is, my goal is to try to get as far away as possible. And that is what you want to do. In a situation like this, what you want to do is you want to get as much distance between you and the enemy team as physically possible, because then you have as much space as possible to play well. If you just get close, then you're going to get wrecked. You're going to achieve absolutely nothing. And now, obviously, I can't get out because Blitz maps are relatively small. So there is nothing I can do here. And all I can do is wait for the Foch to come up, track the Foch, and then die to the SPV behind me, or the E4. So, that's a bit disappointing. Now, about the 907, really, it's a very difficult tank if you have not at least 5 tier 10s. And if you're not good at the game, then I definitely would not recommend this vehicle. I would recommend the T22 medium instead. And this is very difficult to play. Especially if you have teams like this, I'm getting right here. I mean, we can have a look. I mean, it's going great. It's going really great. So at this point, I would recommend the T22 if you are a newer-ish player, but never buy a new tank if you're a new player. Like, if you don't have any T10s, do not ever start with a T10 premium tank. So I can sort of recommend the T22 if you're getting into it. And don't get the MX-30B, obviously. To sum it up again, don't get crates, don't get the MX-30B. Only get the 907 if you're very experienced players and you enjoy the Object 140 and 62A. Don't buy the 55A. And get the T22 if you are interested in that type of vehicle.